stage 6, paragraph page 495. Okay, and our last head word was rent, newer type of lesson. Okay, so let's start with your revision. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. First question. What are the two basic types of auxiliary verb in English? What are the two basic types of auxiliary verb in English? The two basic types
Two basic
of
types
auxiliary
of
verb
auxiliary
in
verb
English
in
are
English
primary
are
auxiliaries
primary
and
auxiliaries
modal
and
auxiliaries.
modal auxiliaries.
What are the primary auxiliaries? What are the primary auxiliaries? The primary
The
auxiliaries
primary
are the
auxiliaries
verbs be,
are the verbs
have, and
be,
do.
have, and do.
When do we use the auxiliary verb be? When do we use the auxiliary be? We use
We
the
use
auxiliary
the
be
auxiliary be
to make the
to
continuous
make the
tenses
continuous
and the
tenses
passive
tenses
voice.
in the passive voice.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. I am speaking
I am
English
speaking
now.
in English now.
This book was printed
This book was printed
in England.
in England.
Very good. When do we use the auxiliary have? When do we use the auxiliary have? We use
We use
the auxiliary
the
have
auxiliary have
for the perfect
for the
tenses.
perfect tenses.
Very good. Give me an example. Give me an example, please. He has gone
He
to
has
Scotland.
gone to Scotland.
Very good. When do we use the auxiliary do? When do we use the auxiliary do? We use
We use
the auxiliary
the
do
auxiliary do
for the present simple
for the present simple
and past
and the
simple.
past simple.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. I don't speak Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish.
Did she eat the
And did
pasta?
she eat the pasta?
Very good. What are the 10 common models? What are the 10 common models? The 10
The
common
10
models
common models
are can,
are
could,
can,
will,
could,
would,
will,
may, might,
may, might,
shall,
and
should,
shall, should,
must, and
and
ought.
must, and ought.
Very good. What ideas do models normally express? What ideas do models normally express? Models normally express ideas about necessity
about necessity
or possibility.
or possibility.
Very good. Okay, now I will give you a sentence and you say a sentence with the same meaning but with a model, okay? Number 1.
Right.
John is able to speak French. John is able to speak French. John can
John
speak
can speak
French.
French.
Perhaps he works in a bank. Perhaps he works in a bank. He may work
He may work
in
in
a
a
bank.
bank.
It is necessary for me to go to bed now. It is necessary for me to go to bed now. I must go
I
to bed
must
now.
go to bed now.
Very good. You are not allowed to smoke in this building. You are not allowed to smoke in this building. You can't smoke
And you
in
can't
this
smoke
building.
in this building.
Very good. What do we put after a model? What do we put after a model? We put the
We
infinitive
put the infinitive
without to after a model.
a model.
Well, give me an example. Give me an example, please. I must send
I
this
must send
email today.
this email today.
Which model is the only exception to this rule? Which model is the only exception to this rule? Ought is the
Ought
only
is
exception
the only
to this rule.
exception to this rule.
Very good. Give me an example. Give me an example, please. I ought to see
I
a
ought
doctor.
to see a doctor.
Very good. Okay, what does the word set mean in Japanese? What does the word set mean in Japanese? The word set means
The word set means setsu
in Japanese. Very good. How long is the time set for a game of football? How long is the time set for a game of football? The time set
The time
for a
set
game of
for a
football
game of football
is 90 minutes.
is 90 minutes.
Very good. That is
And that is
45 minutes each
45
way.
minutes each way.
Very good. What kind of life do you think is better? A life where you have a set time for doing everything, such as eating, sleeping, etc., or a life where you do these things whenever you want? What kind of life do you think is better? A life where you have a set time for doing everything, such as eating, sleeping, etc., or a life where you do these things whenever you want? I think a life
I think a life
where you have,
where you have
well, a set time
yes
or
a set
anytime.
time.
A set time
A set
for
time
doing everything,
for doing everything,
such as eating,
such as
sleeping,
eating and sleeping,
is better than a life
is better than a life
where you do things
where you do things
whenever you want.
whenever you want.
Very good. What did I set down on the table when I came into the room at the beginning of the lesson? What did I set down on the table when I came into the room at the beginning of the lesson? You set your
You
book
set
down
your book
on the
down
table
on the
when you
table
came into the
when you
room
came into the room
at the beginning of the
at the
lesson.
beginning of the lesson.
But if your watch isn't showing the right time, what do you have to do? If your watch isn't showing the right time, what do you have to do? If my watch
If my watch
isn't showing
isn't showing
the right time,
the right
I
time,
have to set it
I
right.
have to set it right.
Very good. What time is sunrise at the moment? What time is sunrise at the moment? Sunrise is
Sunrise is at about 4:30 a.m. at the
at the morning.
moment.
Very good. And what time is sunset? What time is sunset? Sunset is at
And the
about
sunset is at about 7
6
p.m. Yes, at night.
at the moment.
At the moment,
Very good. Okay. What do you consider to be the duty a person owes to the society in which they live? What do you consider to be the duty a person owes to the society in which they live? I consider
I
that the
consider
duty
that the
a
duty
person
a
owes
person
to
owes
the society
to the
in
society
which they live
in which
is
they
to be
live
honest,
is to be honest,
hardworking, etc.
hardworking, etc.
Very good. What are the duties of a policeman? What are the duties of a policeman? The duties
The
of a
duties
policeman
of a policeman
are to give people
are to
help
give people help
and information,
and information
catch criminals,
and criminals,
etc.
etc.
Where do police wear their uniforms when they're off duty? Do policemen wear their uniforms when they're off duty? No.
No,
Policemen
and
don't
policemen
wear
and
their
don't wear
uniforms
their
when
uniforms
they're off duty.
when they are off duty.
They only wear them
They only wear them
when they're on duty.
when they are on duty.
Where if you brought a foreign car into your country, would you have to pay duty on it? If you brought a foreign car into your country, would you have to pay duty on it? Yes or no?
Yes,
If I brought a
if I
foreign
brought
car
a foreign car
into my country,
into my
I
country,
would have to pay
I would have to pay
duty on it.
duty on it.
And if you didn't pay, what did happen? And if you didn't pay, what did happen? If I didn't pay,
If I didn't pay,
they might make me
they might make
pay
me
a fine
pay a fine
and take the car
and take the car
away from me.
away from me.
Very good. What are the various ways of learning a language? What are the various ways of learning a language? The various ways
The
of
various
learning
ways
a language
of learning a language
are at school
are at
with the teacher,
with the teacher,
going to the country
going to the
where
country
the language
where
is
the
spoken,
language is spoken,
practicing with a friend,
practicing with friends,
listening to the radio,
listening to the radio,
watching TV,
watching TV,
etc.
etc.
Very good. Is there much entertainment for teenagers in your hometown? Is there much entertainment for teenagers in your hometown? Yes or no?
Yes,
There is a lot of
there is a lot of
entertainment for
entertainment
teenagers
for
in my
teenagers
hometown.
in my hometown.
Very good. Okay, is the weight of these two books about equal? Is the weight of these two books about equal? Yes, the weight
Yes,
of
the
those
weight
two
of
books
those two
is
books
about equal.
is about equal.
Very good. Would you find it interesting to operate a factory machine? Would you find it interesting to operate a factory machine? Yes or no?
Yes,
I find it
I
interesting
find it
to
interesting
operate a
to
factory
operate
machine.
a factory machine
Very good. Why? Why? Because
because I think that uh, I I think it's an interesting thing. Yes.
very good. It's an interesting thing. Next, have you ever had an operation in hospital? Have you ever had an operation in hospital? Yes or no?
No,
I've never had
I've never
an
had
operation
an
in hospital.
operation in hospital.
Very good. Give me a sentence containing the words by the time. Give me a sentence containing the words by the time, please. By the time
By
he
the
gets
time
here,
he gets here,
dinner will be ready.
dinner will ready.
Will be ready.
Will be ready.
Very good. What does the word by the time mean in that sentence? What does the by the time mean in that sentence? By the time
By the
in
time
that sentence
in that
means
sentence
at
means
some point
at some point
between now
between
and when
now
she gets here. And
and
when he gets
when
here.
he gets here.
Very good. By the time you are 90 years old, do you suppose your hair will be gray? By the time you are 90 years old, do you suppose your hair will be gray? Yes. By the
Yes.
time
By the
I'm
time
90 years old,
I'm 90 years
I
old,
suppose my
I
hair
suppose my hair
will be gray.
will be gray.
Very good. Will your English have improved by this time next month? Will your English have improved by this time next month? Yes. My
Yes.
English
My
will have
English
improved
will have improved
by this time next
by
month.
this time next month.
Very good. Can you speak English as well as you speak your own language? Can you speak English as well as you speak your own language? No, I
No,
can't speak
I
English
can speak
as
English
well as I
as
speak
well as I
my
speak
own language.
my own
I
language.
speak it
I
worse
speak
than
worse
my own
than my
language.
own language.
Where do you take English lessons on Sundays as well as during the week? Do you take English lessons on Sundays as well as during the week? Yes or no?
Yes,
I take English
I take
lessons on
English
Sunday
lessons on Sunday
as well as
as
during
well
the week.
as during the week.
Very good. What does the last question mean in other words? What does that last question mean in other words? That last question
The
means
last question
you
means
take English
you
lesson
take English
during
lessons
the week,
during the
but do
week,
you also
but do you
take
also
English lessons
take English
on
lessons
Sunday?
on Sunday?
Very good. What's the difference between the words older and elder? What's the difference between the words older and elder? The difference between
The difference
the
between
words
the
older
words older
and elder
and elder
is that
is
we
that
generally use
we generally
the word
use
elder
the word elder
when speaking about
when speaking about
two people in the
two
same
people
family,
in the same family,
and we cannot say elder
and we
than.
can send elder
Yeah.
than.
Very good. Have you got an elder brother? Have you got an elder brother? Yes or no?
Yeah, no,
I haven't got
I haven't
an
got
elder brother.
an elder brother.
Are you the eldest in your family? Are you the eldest in your family? No, I'm
No,
not the
I'm
eldest
not the eldest
in my family.
in my family.
Who is the eldest? My father
My grandfather
is the oldest
is the oldest
in my family.
in my family.
Very good. What's the difference between to let and to rent? What's the difference between to let and to rent? The difference between
The difference
to let
between
and to
to
rent
let and
is
to
that
rent
to
is
let
that
means
to let
to
means
lend something
to lend
in
something
exchange for money,
in exchange for money,
whereas to rent
whereas
means
to rent
to
means
borrow something
to borrow
in
something
exchange for
in
money.
exchange for money.
Very good. Supposing you had a house or a flat to let, how would you advertise it? Supposing you had a house or a flat to let, how would you advertise it? Supposing I
Supposing
had a house
I had a
or
house
a flat to let,
or a flat to let,
I'd advertise it
I'd advertise
in the newspaper,
it in the
in the
newspaper,
newspaper,
in the newspaper,
or on the internet.
or on the internet.
Very good. What's the average monthly rent for a small flat in your town? What's the average monthly rent for a small flat in your town? The average
The
monthly
average
rent
monthly rent
for a small flat
for a small
in my
flat
town
in
is
my town is $5.
$5.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like rent of a house. So maybe let's say five 50,000 yen. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then how much does it cost to rent a car for one day in your town? How much does it cost to rent a car for one day in your town? It costs about
It costs about
5,000 yen
5,000 yen
to rent a car
to rent a
for
car
one day in my town.
one day in my town.
Do you ever rent DVDs to watch at home? Do you ever rent DVDs to watch at home? Yes or no?
No,
I never rent
I
DVDs
never rent
to
DVDs
watch at home.
to watch at home.
Very good. Is it common in your country for people to rent out rooms in their house to students, for example? Is it common in your country for people to rent out rooms in their house to students, for example? Yes or no?
No,
It isn't common
it isn't
in my country
in my
for
country
people to
for
rent out
people
rooms
to rent out the
in
room
their house to
in their
students.
house to student.
Very good. Okay, so now that's the end of our revision. Let's have new work. Okay, repeat. Fallen.
Fallen,
Very good. Okay, listen. Fallen
fallen.
is a verb. It is the past participle of the verb to fall. The complete paradigm of the verb to fall is fall, fell, fallen. For example, I've never fallen out of bed in the middle of the night. Okay, let's practice. What are the three forms of fall? What are the three forms of fall? The three forms
It's three
of
forms
fall
of
are
fall
fall, fell,
or
fallen.
fall, fail, fallen.
Where have you ever fallen out of bed in the middle of the night? Have you ever fallen out of bed in the middle of the night? Yes or no?
Yes,
I've fallen out of
I
bed
have fallen out of bed
in the middle of the night.
in the middle of the night.
Very good. Next, repeat chose.
Chose.
Very good. Okay, listen. Chose is the past tense of the verb to choose. For example, I chose the clothes I'm wearing myself. Okay, let's practice. What's the past of the verb to choose? What's the past of the verb to choose? The past of
The
the verb to
past of the
choose
verb to
is
choose
chose.
is chose.
Did you choose the clothes you're wearing yourself? Did you choose the clothes you're wearing yourself? Yes or no?
Mm,
Did you
No,
choose your clothes? No, I didn't
yes,
choose
I didn't choose
the clothes
the
I'm
clothes
wearing myself.
I'm wearing myself.
Someone else
Someone
chose
else
them for me.
installs them for me.
Very good. Next, repeat. Such a.
Such a
Very good. Okay, listen. Such a means very. For example, football is such a popular game. A desert is such a difficult place to live in because there is so little water. Okay, let's practice. Why do you suppose football is such a popular game? Why do you suppose football is such a popular game? I suppose football
I suppose
is
football
such a
is
popular
such
game
a popular game
because
because yeah,
it is
it's exciting.
very exciting. Very good.
Yes, very
Why is a
exciting.
desert such a difficult place to live in? Why is a desert such a difficult place to live in? A desert
A
is such
desert
a difficult
is such a
place
difficult
to
place
live in
to live
because
in
there is
because
so little
there is
water.
so there is so a
There
little
is
water.
so little water.
There is so little water.
Very good. Next, repeat. Provide.
Provide,
Providing.
providing,
Provided.
provided.
Ghost.
Ghost.
Very good. Okay, listen. Provide is a verb. It means to make available for use. Okay, for example, a soldier's uniform is provided for him by the government. Another meaning of provide is to give something wanted or needed to someone. For example, parents provide for their children by making sure they have all the things they need in life. Providing is a conjunction. It is used to say that something will only be possible if something else happens or is done. Ghost is the spirit of a dead person that some people think they can feel or see in a place. For example, if I had just bought a house and then someone told me there was a ghost in it, I'd sell the house, providing I believe in ghosts. Let's practice. Is a soldier's uniform provided for him by the government? Is a soldier's uniform provided for him by the government? Yes, a soldier's
Yes,
uniform
a soldier's
is
uniform
provided for
is
him
provided for
by the
him
government.
by the government.
Very good. How do parents provide for their children? How do parents provide for their children? Parents provide.
Which of the
Parents provide
parents provide
for their children
for their
by
children
making sure
by making
they
sure
have all the
they
things
have all the
they
things
need in life.
they need in life.
Very good. If you had just bought a house and then someone told you there was a ghost in it, what would you do? Providing, of course, you believe in ghosts. If you had just bought a house and then someone told you there was a ghost in it, what would you do? Providing, of course, you believe in ghosts. If I had just bought,
Provided yes.
if I had
If I had
just bought a house,
just
bought
just
a
bought a house
house,
just bought a house
and then someone told
and then
me
someone told
there
me
was a ghost in
there
it.
was a ghost in it.
I'd sell the house,
I'd sell the house,
providing I believe
providing
in ghosts.
I believe in ghosts.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to your reading. Okay, so your reading is at stage 6, paragraph page 415. Last headword was situation. Okay, so please start at headword suppose first.
It's supposed first. And what do you suppose happen if there were suddenly no water in the world? And I suppose we'd all die of thirst if there were suddenly no water in the world. And if you only slept 2 hours a night. And how do you suppose you will feel tomorrow morning? If I only slept 2 hours tonight, I suppose I'd feel very tired tomorrow morning.
Mhm.
And supposing today were Sunday, and where do you be
What
now?
did what did
What did?
where'd you be
Oh,
now?
where'd you be now?
Mhm.
And supposing today were Sunday, I'd be in home
Uh-huh. At home.
and at home, I think.
Very good.
And supposing you lost your passport, and what would you do? And supposing I lost my passport, I'd immediately tell the police. Hotter and hotter, and more. And does it get hotter and hotter as we go towards the north of Europe? And no, it doesn't get hotter and hotter as we go towards the north of Europe. It gets colder and colder. And the people usually become richer and richer as they become older. Yes, people usually become richer and richer as they become older. Why? Because they usually earn more and more money.
Mhm.
And does good wine usually become cheaper and cheaper as it becomes older? No, good wine doesn't usually. No, good wine doesn't usually
Become.
become cheaper and cheaper as it becomes older. It usually becomes more and more expensive. And ready, marriage,
Marriage.
marriage, marriage. How long does it take you to get ready to go out in the morning? Yeah, it takes me about
How many hours before you can go out and go to school? Like 1 hour
1 hour.
to
Yes,
get
1 hour
ready.
to get ready to go out in the morning.
Hmm.
And when do you think you'll be ready to take the exam at the end of this book? And
I think I'll be ready
yeah, I think I'll be ready.
to
I'll
take
be
the
ready
exam
to take the exam at the end of this book in about
1 month,
2 weeks'
two
time.
months, 2 weeks time. Very good.
And are you always ready to lend people money? No, I'm not always ready to lend people money. And do you think most people are
Okay,
looking for?
Brian. So we stop there for today. But very good reading, very good dictation, and very
Yeah,
good practice for today.
thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much, and see you again next lesson.